What up, it's Prime Pete. Just want to bring this to everyone's attention and remind everyone that Call of Duty is not the game that it once was. What once stood as the most popular franchise in gaming is now left with the player count getting beaten out by indie games like PUBG and Lethal Company, and even other long-standing old titles like Dota 2 and GTA 5. Needless to say, there are a couple reasons that COD has seen a massive downhill spiral recently, ever since the release of Vanguard, but more notably, the worst game ever made, Modern Warfare 2. Players are really starting to wake up to the blatant manipulations of money-hungry Activision and the restrictions put in place to hold back good development teams like Sledgehammer Games from actually developing a game that can retain players for longer than a week. I'm not here to say that COD is dead or that it's going to die in the next year like everyone else. It's not going anywhere. But let's not forget that the 6v6 standard multiplayer experience, despite having really fun and well-designed movement mechanics and gunplay, is still just in the tubes, and there's nothing that Activision is really doing about it. And you can bet they're not going to do anything about it either. So let's put on our tinfoil hats and begin, shall we? For starters, let me remind you guys about the patented software that Activision created themselves that manipulates your in-game experience to be exactly how they want it. For example, this patent here shows the system put in place that changes your player attributes like your hitbox, health, and bullet damage in order to put you or your opponents at an advantage. You ever wonder why you pump a whole mag into someone, then they turn around and two-tap you with an SMG? I'm gonna blow your mind here, but to put it simply, the game is just rigged, and it wants them to think they're good enough to get quick kills, and they want you to get aggravated so that you keep trying to prove yourself that you're good, when in reality you're not crazy, the game is just working against you. In both scenarios, the player that's bad thinks they're better than they are, so they keep playing, and the good player has to prove themselves that they're good, so they keep playing. Shooting first and still dying in a few milliseconds? Yep, I reiterate, you're not crazy. Let's also talk briefly about how the game pushes the player to make in-game purchases. If a player buys a bundle in the store, they're rewarded for it by having great gameplay. How does this work? Well, either the SBMM makes an exception and throws the player into lobbies where everyone is much worse than them so they can dominate with their pay-to-win bundle skin and convince other players that they'll be good if they just buy some skins, or they'll just buff the player in question that bought the skin and give them more health or buff damage, or just shrink their hitbox. The list goes on. They basically just make it so they die way less often and get kills more easily. Not only will this subconsciously convince their customers that buying skins equals skill, it also signifies to the player that bought the skin that this cosmetic item made them a better player and more confident, so maybe they should consider buying another one. You ever wonder why the player with the brand new skin in your lobby is just so difficult to just kill once? Well, I hope this helped. Also, my source isn't trust me, bro. It's literally patented by Activision once again, and I'll put it on the screen here. And you could say, oh, they just patented it. They don't have to be using it. But the thing is, there's literally no reason for them not to be using it if they patented it. I can't imagine they just patent this methodology and just let it sit there, especially if it makes them money hand over fist. Additionally, let's talk about Call of Duty's matchmaking. Not only is it the most rigged thing about the game, is also what keeps players playing the game the most, and is the biggest factor in some players' addiction to Call of Duty. We've all heard the term SBMM, or skill-based matchmaking, about 2 trillion times by now, since Modern Warfare 3 has come out, but using this name for the system is essentially incorrect at this point in time. Basically, there's a system called EOMM, or Engagement Optimized Matchmaking, that really all of these manipulative systems I've described fall under. It's basically like SBMM, but like 5,000 times worse. Instead of matchmaking based on skill, it essentially takes each player and says, alright, what match do I have to throw this player into to create the highest chance possible if this player plays another match, sees anything I just mentioned before, and then chooses to spend even more time or money on the game as a result. For example, if you do really bad in a game and get spanked by sweats on the other team, the algorithm might see your playing habits and predict you'll get off if it happens to you again. So it throws you a bone and gives you an easier lobby where you can get kills and satisfy your need to do well in a match. Then after that, you'll just go right into another match of getting destroyed, wondering how you could have just played so well and then just did so poorly this game. Inconsistency breeds addiction more than anything else, and EOMM is the ultimate inconsistency machine. Whenever I get on COD, I notice my first game is really tough, and I may not do so well. That might force you to say, well, I'm not quite warmed up yet, I'm not in the zone yet, or other things of that nature. But in reality, it's just the game trying to aggravate me, so I play another match. You know what I do when I bottom frag my first game on? I just get off the game. Eventually, the algorithm will realize this pattern and throw me a bone my first game on. I try to play the system more than it plays me, but in a game where Activision are literally trying to control every aspect of the game as much as they possibly can, you can only play the system so well. Another huge thing that's rising is the obvious implementation of AI bots into normal online lobbies. I won't spend 15 minutes going through all the proof. Just give us some research on Reddit and watch Blame Truth talk about it. The point is, AI bots are being covertly slipped into lobbies to turn the tides and mess with the balance of each game. The team balancing is so scarily accurate that most matches end with extremely tight scores, and most games are hyper competitive. However, by using these bots, the game can be tampered with to even more of an extent if the matchmaking and lobby balancing didn't do its job well enough. Bots can either be killstreak fodder, or they can tear up the lobby and drop close to 70 kills when everyone else can't even scrape 20, as seen in Blame Truth's video breaking down the existence of bots in lobbies that I'll link below. below. Regardless, AI bots are artificially created players that fill any discrepancies within a lobby, if there are any. In an attempt to make each match as close as possible, if some kind of a gap is left within the lobby and the skill levels of each team aren't quite balanced, the game will just throw a useless bot in your team if you're winning, or a complete MLG bot if you're losing too hard. I'm sure a lot of you watching this video have encountered some weirdly robotic players. It's no coincidence. Bots are being thrown into lobbies to even them out. Long story short, a game like Modern Warfare 3 with awesome mechanics and the most fun gameplay of the last 4 years or so is tarnished and becomes a questionable choice when you look at all these manipulative systems put in place with one objective in mind: for you to get addicted and for you to spend money on the game. First, matches are fundamentally rigged from the get-go. The matchmaking algorithm decides whether a good or bad performance will keep you playing the game and puts you in an exactly balanced lobby where the teams will almost undoubtedly be neck and neck the entire match, and you hopefully perform as the algorithm intends you to. If the teams are not balanced enough, enter the AI bots that will keep you engaged. If you somehow manage to break out of this system, you'll have players worse than you killing you in less time and less bullets than it normally takes, and you'll perhaps notice you start shooting marshmallows or your opponent's hitbox is extremely tiny. The inconsistency within each match can easily breed a vicious cycle of addiction if players are unaware of what is truly going on, which then breeds too much time and money being spent on the game. And for the icing on the cake, any players who own cosmetics can sometimes even be buffed or put into worse lobbies so that they can showcase Call of Duty's recent Sweat Lord skin so that other players will be motivated to purchase it, and the players who purchase skins will receive silent buffs to make them think that the cosmetics gave them more confidence and helped them play better. I'm sorry to be so blunt about it, but truthfully I'm just kind of angry about everything I've discovered about the game. I thought Sledgehammer would have fought to remove some of these things, but their matchmaking algorithms are very telltale that it's not Sledgehammer's doing to fix anything going on behind the scenes, and it's scummy Activision once again turning this actually fun to play game into a manipulative moneymaker. I just wanted to keep you guys up to date about what's going on and to remind you not to get honeymooned by this game, even if it is genuinely the most fun COD game in the last 5 years. If you enjoy it, at least be aware that these things are probably happening to you. As a COD YouTuber, I will obviously continue playing, but take your performance in public 6v6 lobbies with a grain of salt, because they are pretty rigged. If you really want to test your mettle, go play ranked when it comes out. But that's all I got. Stay aware and stay safe, guys. Take it easy.